Your salary isn't the problem. Most people who feel broke aren't broke because they don't earn enough. They're broke because of what happens to every single dollar after it lands in their account. The money comes in. And then, almost without anyone noticing, it disappears. Not all at once. Not in one dramatic moment. It just goes quietly, consistently, month after month. And the person sitting at the end of that month wondering where it all went is almost never the person who spent recklessly. It's the person who thought they were being responsible, who went to work every day, who paid their bills on time, who did everything they were supposed to do, and still ended up with nothing left. Your salary isn't the problem. Where it goes after you get it is. The name's Dexter. On this channel, I pull back the curtain on money and show you what's actually happening underneath. If this sounds like something you need, drop a like on the video, even if you don't subscribe. It really helps push this out to more people who need to hear it. Let's get into it. The first thing most people never actually do is track where every dollar of their income goes for a full month. Not roughly. Not approximately. Every single dollar. And I know what you're thinking. You already have a general sense of where your money goes. You pay rent. You pay your car. You buy groceries. You know the big ones. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about sitting down at the end of 30 days with every bank statement, every card statement, every digital wallet, every cash withdrawal, and accounting for all of it. Every subscription, every impulse buy, every coffee, every delivery fee, every tip, every small transaction that felt so minor at the time that you didn't even register it as a decision. All of it. Because when people actually do this, really do it, the results are almost always the same. The problem isn't the salary. It's the invisible drains that nobody is paying attention to. Here's how it usually breaks down for the average person. Housing takes roughly 33% of income. Transportation takes around 16%. Food, split between groceries and eating out, accounts for about 13%. Healthcare takes another 8%. And then there are the subscriptions, the streaming services, the gym membership you signed up for in January and haven't used since March, the software you tried once and forgot to cancel, the entertainment apps, the impulse purchases, the late-night online orders, the dozens of small recurring charges that nobody remembers signing up for, but nobody ever cancels either. By the time you add all of that up, most people have spent somewhere between 90 and 100% of everything they earned before they've made a single intentional financial decision, before they've invested anything, before they've saved anything meaningful, before they've made any real progress toward the life they say they want. And here's the part that most people miss when they look at this picture. It isn't because they're irresponsible. It isn't because they lack discipline. It isn't because they don't care. It's because nobody ever sat them down and showed them where the money was actually going. The financial system doesn't teach you this. School doesn't teach you this. And most families don't talk about it either. So people just wing it, month after month, year after year. And the pattern repeats. Now, here's the thing that makes this even more painful than it already is. Even if you're tracking your spending perfectly, even if you're being as careful as you can be, inflation has been quietly raising the cost of the three biggest expenses most people carry: housing, food, transportation. And it's been doing it significantly faster than wages have grown. Between 2020 and 2024, the average American's purchasing power actually declined when adjusted for inflation, even as nominal salaries went up. Even as people got raises and cost of living adjustments, the real value of what they were bringing home was shrinking. The dollar they earned in 2024 bought less than the dollar they earned in 2020, sometimes significantly less. In other words, you might be earning more than you were 4 years ago, and still have less money left at the end of each month than you did before. The salary went up. The cost of everything else went up faster. That's not a spending problem. That's a structural problem. And it matters, because it means that the solution isn't simply to spend less. It's to understand the full picture clearly, so you can make decisions that actually work within the reality you're living in, not the reality you wish you were living in. So if it isn't the salary, what's the actual problem? There are three things. Three specific, identifiable things that silently destroy most people's finances, regardless of what they earn. And understanding all three is the difference between spending the next decade feeling financially stuck and actually building something real. The first is the gap between gross income and net income. This one sounds simple, but it's responsible for more financial miscalculation than almost anything else. Most people think about their salary. They get a job offer for $60,000 a year, and they think about what $60,000 a year looks like. They plan around it. They make decisions based on it. They calculate what they can afford based on that number. But that isn't the number that lands in their account. After federal income tax, state income tax, Social Security contributions, Medicare contributions, and any other withholdings your employer takes out before you ever see the money, the average worker in the United States takes home somewhere between 65 and 75 cents of every dollar they earn. Not 80 cents, not 90. 65 to 75. That means if your salary is $60,000 a year, you are actually working with somewhere around $42,000 to $45,000. Not $60,000, $42,000 to $45,000. Now think about how many financial decisions get made based on the gross number. Think about the apartment someone chose because they thought they could afford it on $60,000 a year. Think about the car payment someone committed to. Think about the lifestyle someone built around a number that never actually existed in their bank account. The gap between gross and net isn't just a tax thing, it's a planning thing. And most people are planning from the wrong number from the very start. This is why people consistently feel like their money doesn't go as far as it should. Because mathematically, it doesn't. They're working with fundamentally less than they think they are, and nobody ever made that explicit for them. The fix for this one is straightforward. Before you make any financial decision, any budget, any calculation about what you can and can't afford, start with your net monthly income, what actually lands in your account, not what your contract says, not what your offer letter said, what you actually have. That's your real number. That's the only number that matters for planning purposes. The second silent killer is lifestyle creep. And this one is particularly dangerous because it doesn't feel like a mistake when it's happening. It feels like progress. Here's how it works. You get a raise. Your income goes up by $1,000 a month. And almost automatically, without any deliberate decision, your spending rises to meet it. You move into a slightly nicer apartment. You upgrade your car. You start eating out more frequently. You buy the premium version of things you used to buy at the standard price. You book the better hotel room. You upgrade the flight. None of these things feel reckless. None of them feel irresponsible. Each one, in isolation, seems completely reasonable for someone at your income level. But together, they consume the entire raise before it has a chance to do anything for your financial future. Psychologists have a name for this. It's called hedonic adaptation, and it's one of the most well-documented phenomena in behavioral economics. The idea is simple. Your brain adjusts to every improvement in your circumstances remarkably quickly. That new apartment that felt amazing in month 1 feels completely normal by month 3. The car that made you feel successful when you first drove it off the lot becomes just transportation within a few weeks. And once something becomes normal, your brain stops registering it as a gain. It just becomes the new baseline. And from that baseline, it starts looking for the next upgrade. The result of this process, played out over years, is that people on $80,000 a year often feel exactly as financially stretched as they did on $50,000. The number changed. The feeling didn't. Because the lifestyle expanded to fill every available dollar, and the pattern repeats at every income level. This is why you'll find people earning 6 figures who are living paycheck to paycheck. Not because they're bad with money in some fundamental sense, but because nobody ever interrupted the automatic expansion of their lifestyle to capture any of the gain. The fix for lifestyle creep is what's sometimes called the half rule. Every time your income increases, you commit to saving or investing at least half of the increase before you do anything else with it. If your take-home pay goes up by $800 a month, $400 of that goes directly into savings or investments automatically, before you've had a chance to get used to having it. Before it's had a chance to quietly become part of your lifestyle. The other $400 is yours to spend however you want, completely guilt-free. No restrictions, no judgment. But the first $400 is gone before you can spend it. This one habit, applied consistently every time your income goes up, is one of the most powerful wealth-building mechanisms available to ordinary people. Not because the amounts are dramatic at first, but because it ensures that every income increase actually translates into real financial progress rather than just a more expensive version of the same financial position. The third silent killer is the absence of a system. And this is the one that underlies everything else. Most people manage their money reactively. They earn it. They spend what needs to be spent. They hope something's left over at the end. And then they wonder why there never is. There's no plan. There's no structure. There's no predetermined destination for any dollar that comes in. The money just flows in, flows out, and the result is whatever happens to be left after everything that needed to be spent got spent. This reactive approach to money management is the default. It's how most people operate, and it almost never produces the results people want, regardless of income level. The people who consistently build wealth across every income level, whether they earn $40,000 a year or $400,000, share one core habit. They decide in advance where every dollar goes before it has a chance to disappear. They create a system. Not a complicated system, not a spreadsheet with 17 tabs, just a clear, simple, predetermined answer to the question of where the money goes. Before the money arrives, they pay themselves first, which means they move money towards savings and investments before lifestyle spending has a chance to absorb it, before the rent is paid, before the groceries are bought, before any of the normal spending that happens automatically every month. The savings and investment contributions happen first. Automatically, by design. And then everything else gets funded from what remains. This approach works for one simple reason. It removes willpower from the equation entirely. Most financial advice is built around the idea of spending less so you can save more. And that advice relies entirely on willpower, on making the right decision in the moment, every single day, in the face of every temptation, every inconvenience, every social pressure, every occasion where spending money feels like the natural and obvious thing to do. And willpower, as anyone who has ever tried to rely on it for anything knows, is not a reliable system. It runs out. It gets tired. It fails under stress. It fails under social pressure. It fails when you're busy or distracted or having a bad day. Structure, on the other hand, doesn't rely on willpower at all. When your savings contribution goes out automatically on the day your paycheck arrives, you never have to decide whether to save that month. The decision has already been made. The structure handles it. And because the money is gone before you've had a chance to spend it, you adjust your lifestyle to what remains, rather than hoping something will remain after your lifestyle is funded. This is the fundamental difference between people who build wealth and people who don't. It isn't income. It isn't discipline. It isn't some special knowledge or advantage or secret. It's structure. The people who build wealth have a system. The people who don't are winging it and hoping for a different result. So what does actually fixing this look like in practice? It's 3 steps. Not complicated. Not requiring any particular financial expertise. Just 3 clear things done in order. Step 1 is to find your real number. Take your net monthly income. What actually lands in your account after all taxes and withholdings. Use that as your starting point for every financial calculation you make going forward. Not your gross salary. Not your annual salary divided by 12. Not the number on your offer letter. What you actually have, every month, in your account. That's your real number. Write it down. Know it. Start there. Step 2 is to audit the last 30 days. Go through every bank statement, every card statement, every account you used in the last month. Categorize every transaction. Housing, transportation, food, subscriptions, entertainment, everything else. Be honest. Don't round down. Don't skip the embarrassing ones. Account for all of it. This audit is not about making yourself feel bad. It's about getting an accurate picture of where your money actually goes, as opposed to where you think it goes. Because for most people, there is a meaningful gap between those two things. And you cannot make good decisions about your money based on an inaccurate picture of your spending. The audit gives you the accurate picture. And most people, when they do it honestly for the first time, are genuinely surprised by what they find. Step 3 is to decide on 3 numbers before next month starts. Number 1, how much goes to savings and investments? This number comes first. It leaves your account automatically before anything else happens. Number 2, how much goes to fixed necessary expenses? Rent, utilities, insurance, loan payments, the things that happen every month regardless. Number 3, how much is genuinely free to spend however you want? No restrictions, no tracking, no guilt. Within that number, you have complete freedom. Once those three numbers are set and the first one is automated, you've built a system, a basic one, a simple one, but a real one. And you don't have to think about money constantly anymore. You don't have to make decisions about it every single day. The system makes the decisions. You live within the structure it creates. And within that structure, real financial progress becomes possible regardless of your income level. Now, here's the part most people skip entirely when they start thinking about building wealth through savings. And it's possibly the most important thing in this entire video. The amount you save matters far less than the consistency with which you save it. Read that again, because it runs counter to the way most people think about saving money. Most people think about saving in terms of amounts. I need to be saving more. I need to save $1,000 a month. I need to save 10% of my income. And so they wait until they can afford to save the amount they think they need to be saving. And while they're waiting, they're not saving anything at all. But here's the mathematical reality. Someone putting away $200 a month, every single month, without fail, will almost always end up in a better financial position over time than someone who puts away $1,000 in the months they remember to do it and nothing in the months they don't. Not because 200 is more than 1,000. Obviously it isn't. But because the person saving 200 is building a habit, building a system, and building momentum that compounds over time. The person saving 1,000 irregularly is relying on willpower and memory, both of which fail regularly. And when they fail, the saving stops. Because life is always getting more expensive. There's always a reason not to save this month. There's always an unexpected bill. An opportunity that requires money up front, a month where the budget is tight and saving feels impossible. If your saving habit requires consistently high amounts in perfect conditions, it will get disrupted regularly because perfect conditions are rare. But if your saving habit is small enough to survive the bad months, automated enough to not require a decision every month, and consistent enough to run regardless of what else is happening in your life, it compounds month after month. Year after year, until the amounts that felt small at the beginning become genuinely significant. Consistency over amount, every single time. Let's bring this all together. Your salary isn't what's holding you back. That feels counterintuitive, but it's true. The three things that are quietly making sure there's never anything left are the gap between what you earn and what you actually take home after taxes, lifestyle creep that automatically rises to consume every income increase, and the absence of a proactive system that decides in advance where the money goes. None of these three things require a higher salary to fix. All three of them can be addressed, starting this month at whatever income level you're currently at. Find your real number, audit the last 30 days. Set 3 numbers for next month and automate the first one. That's it. That's the whole framework. Not because it's some revolutionary new idea that nobody has ever thought of before, but because the fundamentals of personal finance are not complicated. They never were. The complicated part is cutting through all the noise and the marketing and the advice designed to sell you something and getting to the actual simple truth underneath. You don't need to earn more to start building wealth. You need to know where what you already earn is actually going. You need a system that ensures some of it actually gets kept. And you need to run that system consistently, every month, regardless of how much or how little the amounts feel like. Because the person who earns $50,000 a year and controls it completely will always outperform the person who earns $100,000 a year and lets it disappear. Always, without exception. Income is the engine. But what you do with the income is the vehicle. And a well-built vehicle will always outrun a powerful engine without one. The question isn't whether you earn enough. The question is whether you have a system. And if you don't, you can build one, starting today. If this gave you something to think about, subscribe, because we drop new videos every week, covering the financial truths that most people never get told directly. And I genuinely want to hear from you in the comments. Where does your money actually go every month? Be honest, because I promise you, you're not alone in the answer. And knowing where you're starting from is the first step toward building something different. See you in the next one.